part 2 for the solution of 2020 week 8 Preppin data is just going to focus on these 2 steps here. So first of all, we're going to be cleaning the budget data, the budget file that we have, and then we're going to be joining it to the actual sales data, and we're only going to return values that either haven't reached their budget for value or they haven't reached their budget for volume. And the logic that I'm going to apply to do that is that I'm going to first of all calculate which fields have exceeded for both their value and their volume. And then once I've calculated those products, then I will exclude them from the others so that only those that remain are just going to be those that haven't reached their budget in some way. So I've explained it there once, but don't worry, I'll explain it again when we get there. So let's bring in that budget information data and have a look at it. Now, this table is 4 rows high and only 5 fields. So it's a very different structure to what we've got up here if I just add a branch on so that we can have a look at it to compare. So we've got 16 rows here and 4 fields. So here we've got all of our information about what week it is in one field, all of our information about what type of product it is in another field, and then information about the value and volume in other fields. Whereas here it's a bit more like, okay, the product type also is one field, but then we've got information about the value and volume in one field here, and then the weeks go across 3 different fields. So to reshape this data to be a similar fit for up here, we're going to want to have these headers as rows instead. So we're going to do a pivot to make that the case. And then we're going to want to have these budget value and budget volume as column headers instead. So we're going to do another pivot to make that the case. But first of all, we've got a little bit of cleaning that we need to do. So you can see that our type has some numbers associated with the bar and liquid, but up here our type is just bar or liquid. So we're going to clean this field up by just getting rid of the numbers and the punctuation. So we can do that by using the clean functionality here and removing the numbers, and then we can use the clean functionality to remove the punctuation. And now our type is looking much more like our type up here. Now onto that next step where we're going to pivot our week information down into a field. So we're going to do that by changing those column headers into rows. So that means that we do a column to rows pivot, and we're just going to select all the week fields. Lovely. And then we're going to reshape it again. So now we've got our 4 fields and 12 rows, so we're getting kind of closer to the structure that we want it to be. But we're going to pivot it again one more time and make it a rows to columns, because we want these budget value and budget volume to be our new column headers. So we'll drag that over to be the measure that is going to pivot, and it's the pivot 1 values, these budget values that we want to be in the cells now. So we drag that down there, and if we add on a little step, then we can see that we've got those 4 fields where we've got our type, our week, and our value and volume all as separate fields. And that's much more like the data structure of our actual sales, which will make joining them together much easier. However, there's one more thing that you might notice between these 2 tables. So our week here is every week has its own separate line, whereas here we've got weeks 1 and 2 on the same line, weeks 3 and 4 and 5 on the same line, and weeks 6 and 7 and 8 on the same line. So we're going to need to split these out to be, the start week and the end week, so that we can join them together in some way. So let's split these values automatically, and we'll call this start week, and we'll call the second field end week. And we'll just get rid of this week field now because we don't need that anymore. Okay, that's great. The only thing to notice now before we join these together is that our week field up here is a string at the moment. So we're going to change that to be a number as well. Now comes the joining phase. Bit difficult. Let me just, there we go. Join. Lovely. So it's automatically picked up the type for us, which is great. But now we want our week to be greater than or equal to the start week. And we also want our week to be less than or equal to the end week. And we see that we're getting 16 rows back, which is the same number of rows as here. So that's all working the way that we would want it to. Now, that condition that that requirement that I was telling you about we are only wanting to return values that haven't reached their budget in either value or volume. And to do that, we're first going to calculate values which have exceeded in both their value and their volume. So to do that, we're just going to add on a condition that says the sales value is greater than the budget value. And we're going to have the sales volume also being greater than their budget volume. And we can see that that is true for 11 rows. And then basically we're going to want to have this join all over again. So that information that we had before, we're going to want it to be the same again. So our week is greater than or equal to start week, and our week is also less than or equal to the end week. And then we're going to want to join these together. This time we're going to be joining on the week and the type. And we can see that we've got 5 records that are excluded at the moment. And we like these records because these are the ones that haven't met their budget in either value or volume. We don't know which one. And we can double check that by just verifying with our eyes down here. So our budget volume is 3550 and our actual volume is 3055. Great, so that's an instance of a volume one not reaching its budget. This one is another case where the volume is the one that's missing the mark. This time it's sales that is missing the mark. And so these are the values that we want to bring through this join. So therefore, we want it to be a right join, I think. Let's just go back to here. Yep, that's giving us our 5 rows that we want. And so the only thing left to do here to get this to look like the output, the desired output, is just to get rid of a few of these extra columns. Oh, no, wait, that is not doing what we wanted to, sorry. This is giving us 0 rows back at the moment, so maybe it's a left join that we want to do instead. Yes, now we're getting those 5 rows. And let's just go ahead and delete some of these extra columns. All the ones with a dash and then a number. And it might be that this isn't the right thing to do. Let me just go back and check that. Let's have a look at the numbers. Ah, good. This is exactly what we want it to look like. We also don't need our start and end week anymore. So we'll just get rid of those. There we go. And now we've got our week, our type of product, and our sales value and sales volume, as well as the budget value and budget volume, where either we're missing the mark in where we're missing the budget, sorry, in value, or we're missing the mark in volume. And I hope that makes sense to you. And please check out the written solution for a different way of getting to this end result, because as with all data prep, there are many ways to get to the same solution, but this is just the way that my logic took me. So I hope that made sense, and thanks for watching.